The ModernJeeper Show, the show about Jeeps, Jeeping, and Jeepers.
Well, hey, Modern Jeepers, it's another episode of the ModernJeeper Show with me, Matson from MetalCloak, and Mr. Modern Jeeper, Corey Osborne.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Rockstar Jeep girl, Jessy.
Hello, how are you today?
I am great. I'm going to have to start calling you Rockstar Jeep girl. I'm going to start calling you Funshine Jeep girl because you finished. Is Funshine done? Like, I've seen all these great pictures on it.
Not done. Is it ever done?
It's
never
yes,
done.
true. They're never done.
But all the good hardware's on it now, so she's looking pretty tough and mean and taller.
Looking awesome.
And yeah,
those fenders turned out great.
Oh,
what a
yeah.
great,
you know,
what a
many
great
messages
match
I have
of
on
the
that.
powder
Now
coat.
I'm going to be the powder coder.
Oh yeah, she's got messages every day about how did you match the color and yeah, it's been a fun build. We've been in the garage for literally like the last 4 days for about 10 hours every day. I don't think I have a knuckle that's not broken up at this point. But I tell you, it is a lot nicer to work on new stuff. I mean, that Jeep's only got 3,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
If that, yeah.
Right.
It's a little over 3,000 now.
It is cool though that you did when you got it. You actually it has kind of broken in, like you broke it in stock before you ever actually did.
I did engineer pass in its stock, and that was a feat in itself.
Yeah. She did it twice.
I did it twice.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now it's all got stuff. It's got the rack. Everything else looks good.
Yeah. It's been a project, and it's, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later, but I want to bring up the fact that back in the day we used to, when I had my TJ, and we even working on her JK and stuff, there's a lot of parts that we've bought over the years that typically don't fit very well. And as a TJ owner, we were kind of used to just getting stuff, and we had to do some modifications to fit. But what I also remember too is that the TJ body panels were also very, very flat. Everything was straight. There wasn't a whole lot of curves, a lot of lines. And that's changed. Now with the JL and the Gladiator, of course, there's a lot of body lines and stuff. And I'm going to throw this out there, and maybe some of our listeners can give me some feedback. But I'm going to say that installing a suspension lift is by far easier than any body armor or bumper changes that you make to your new model JL or Gladiator.
It looks intensive, but really it's
really
simple.
Suspension's fairly straightforward. I mean, you're talking about control arms, lift, shocks, springs. That's really the essentials of it. Whereas when you start messing with body panels, and I mean, shout out to the guys at MetalCloak, because and we even have a set of instructions in the garage from another manufacturer on a different piece. We were talking about instructions earlier, and while it's so hard to nail down every little thing when you're putting together a part for your Jeep, I think we struggle with, hey, there's this, they missed this step. It doesn't show me in the directions, but if you look at the part, you got to have some mechanical knowledge. Like, you don't jump into something without any kind of real idea of what it's supposed to, and what the end result should look like. And with, I don't think folks understand either that when you manufacture steel parts versus aluminum parts, now Jessy's fenders that she just put on Funshine, that's powder coated aluminum. Aluminum is extremely sensitive to every curve. When those welds go in there, those things can twist and warp and all of that stuff. To match a JL's body lines, man, that's some crazy stuff. When I worked at another manufacturer, we really didn't have to worry about it fitting so precise because you're using a different fender style. It's not, it has to be roughly in that curve, but not exactly. Whereas you're actually using existing holes that are already in that fender. So for those fixtures to be built around that stuff, I could go on. I'm pretty blown away by the construction of the JL. We've come across some stuff put a picture of a bolt this morning on the Modern Jeeper Facebook and Instagram page, and it's a plastic bolt. It is the sole bolt that holds on a taillight, and it is accessed from the inside of the Jeep. So there's a little plastic latch that you have to remove, and there's a single plastic bolt head. That bolt it's about 4.5 inches long or
and
something
it rides
like that.
On a spring.
It's got a spring in there. It's the craziest little bolt I've ever seen. And literally, you take that bolt out, and the taillight just comes out.
I was like, "There's no way it's coming out."
Yeah, it's
done.
There's stuff like that you run across where we're used to, oh, this is going to take us 30 minutes just to remove this taillight. Now it's going to take you 30 minutes, but you're just going to have to figure out how it's done. And then it turns out it's very, very simple. So
almost as if they anticipated taillights being knocked off and having to be easily replaced.
No, very true. Very true. So yeah, so we just recovered from Thanksgiving, and hopefully our listeners, we kind of, Thanksgiving can be really, really hard on people, and I think last week kind of caught me off guard. Thanksgiving is a very challenging time of year for a lot of folks, and we're very fortunate that we have friends and family that are around us, and I don't know if we stress enough how important it can be to spend time with friends and family, and a lot of us, the anxiety of spending time with friends and family kind of get the best of us. And I think that's where I was last week, just because we went to my younger brother's house, and we hadn't seen them in a long time, too long. So yeah, I hope our listeners had a good Thanksgiving, and I know that Matson you were extremely busy giving stuff away.
Yeah. So it's like, Thanksgiving, there was a period of time where I had to focus and cook because, did all the cooking and had a wonderful Thanksgiving and still eating leftovers. But throughout all of that time, we had our biggest sale ever. It was 10 days, and it ended yesterday with Cyber Monday. And it was extremely successful with as far as the number of customers that came in and be able to do it. But we gave away $17,510.10.
Wow.
To over those 10 days. And
wow.
That was, between all of that was gift certificates, credit on account for customers across the board. So they could use it it was everything from yesterday. Of course, my favorite doing a Cyber Monday was my 10-10-10 gift certificate, which of course, for those who's geeks, that's 42. That's a binary number for 42. What's 42? Well, 42 is the answer to the question of life, the universe, and everything. So, but everything from that to a couple of $1,000 gift certificates. I think we did $5,000 in giveaways on Black Friday alone, just for Black Friday orders. So it was incredible. And we had a lot of people, we did it for every single order. Maybe I'll think about that next year because we had some people game the system. I think we had one guy bought 13 in Rockland or Adventure Club decals, like one a day or whatever, all the way through, like just to have just his entry points, right? I'm going to do those. Not only are they 10% off, but I can get them and they can get free shit. And he's got like 13 decals. Of course, we'll ship them all to him at the same time. But, and although I think actually we're out of those decals, so we have to place an order. I'm sorry, sir, your 13 decals are being back ordered because we're out. But yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. A lot of that was the morning issue. Sometimes I was spot on in the morning and it was exciting and entertaining. Other times, I think somebody made a post said, no offense, but I'd like to see what the analytics were on your morning post, because it was not one of those good ones. It was like, I'm a little tired, guys, and I think I'm going to share with you this morning what's happening.
And folks don't understand all the technical stuff that has to go on to that. And when you were dual devicing and Facebook would drop off and
yeah,
it was like we were watching going, oh no, he can't hear us.
Yeah. It's like it's going back and forth. And this morning was tough because I couldn't come in the office, had a doctor's appointment, so I had to do it from this. And the rubber bands, because okay, guys, I'm using rubber bands to tie an iPhone to an iPad. There's probably something better to do, but I'm just doing this because it was easy, right? Well, one of them wasn't quite tight enough. So literally the phone is like slipping down. And you could see where all of a sudden on Instagram, this little shadow disappears because it's the rubber band moving across the camera before I can catch it. So I'm like, it was hokey, but it was fun giving it away. So we had the blog going. There was daily blogs to do. Most people know. In fact, Aaron came in this morning. He was disappointed. He didn't get an email from me at 3 a.m. He was like, "Where was my 3 a.m. email?" It's like I've been sending emails out to people, and like all this stuff. Going to sleep about 10, waking up about midnight, because after midnight we had to start choosing the winners, and then we had to post the blog. Then there was at least 10 different forums where we were posting the daily results as well. And between that and all those things and getting it, so there was a lot to do on it. There was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing it. There was a lot of build up to make that happen. But the end result is we had a great 10 days with the customers being able to get the biggest discount we've ever given, right, on stuff. So, but it's also true across the board. I mean, all of our friends in the different industries and stuff have done, lots of sales. I know that there's companies right now, like we absolutely ended it yesterday. That's it. We're done. We're moving on. There's extensions and week longs and month longs. And I think I've even seen some stuff like they're already starting to talk about Christmas sales. It's if you're out there and you want to save $1, there's plenty of ways to save $1 right now.
Yeah, we've been deleting emails as fast as we possibly get them. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And because if you let it go, and actually I was reading something this morning about somebody on LinkedIn had mentioned about they don't know if this is proper or not, but they've started to answer emails while they're on vacation. And of course, from our perspective, there isn't really any real vacation.
Right.
Our whole life is a vacation. So, but they mentioned that it was very nice for them to come back to work and have at least deleted all the non-essential stuff, leave the fires there so that when we get back, they can just address those. But just logging in, checking email when you're, and if you let these kind of emails like we've been getting for the last 4 or 5 days, you let them spin out of control, and all of a sudden you've got 1,000 emails in there, and the majority of them they're all sales. They're all, it's all of that stuff that, hey, come check out our up to 40% off, up to 50% off. Of course, what you really want is only 5% off, but they're gonna keep kind of bombarding you with that stuff. And this morning it was kind of like, okay, I'm ready to be over getting so many emails, and then here they go. They start right back up. Oh, we've extended our sale.
Right.
Black Friday.
You deleted that email? Oh, let me send you another one.
I got you another one.
Right.
Black Friday broke records. They said Cyber Monday broke records. And here we are. I mean, the state of our economy and interest rates, the Fed trying to control spending, and people are buying like there's no tomorrow, which is good because that ball can't stop rolling. It affects a lot of people, but I don't know. It's been an interesting 4 days.
Well, it has been. You got to remember too. Most of these email softwares out there are super smart. Like even when you get emails, like I get emails from sales guys all the time, and if they're a sophisticated company, they know you open the email. Like the follow-up email from them is, "I saw you open my email."
Right. Yeah. Notice you checked this out.
Well, fine. I'm just gonna. Then you probably saw me hit the unsubscribe button or the spam button too, right? I mean, they know, these systems know. Like you open the email, and then all of a sudden it gets triggered. Like, okay, good. Here's the next email we're going to send to you because you opened it. If you didn't open it, then you're going to get the email in 3 days that says, "Hey, I'm not sure if you saw my email," but if you did open it, then you're going to get the one that says, "Hey, I saw you open my email." Right? It's incredibly sophisticated systems that they've created, these bots, just to try to draw you in and draw you in and draw you in. But it's cool. I mean, I'm on so many lists on my personal email address. It's like I'm constantly unsubscribing, but it's weird. I think there's one conservative media one, and it's really not conservative media. It's more like this marketing machine. They have the same content appearing in like 12 different brands. And then you unsubscribe out of 4 of them, and it's like a hydra. Like the head just keeps. You cut off one, and 4 more is grow. You cut off another one, and more grow. It's like I swear I'm getting more emails from them now than when I originally subscribed from the first one. It's like, we'll teach you to unsubscribe from us. It's insane. So that being said, by the way, we also did another thing. I mean, Thursday was great, because the Thursday podcast went out. It was about Thanksgiving. It was a very deep dive, and I think it was a very deep personal and emotional dive, and I think people appreciated that. But we also, the flip side of that is we announced our 5,000 winner. And that was huge because it'd been going on for really 6 weeks because we had that in the bonus.
Right.
We had all these others, plus the other little winners that won something here and there, and that's been great for them. Well, but our winner, Julia, is joining us today along with her son, Evan. So we'll bring them on board here. Hey, guys.
Hey,
what's up, guys?
How you doing? So congratulations, Julia,
Congratulations.
for the win.
thank you.
You ever won anything like this before?
It's
No,
my
I
understanding that she didn't even want to enter. It was her son that kind of said, "Hey, you should probably do this."
So
She's
how
a
many
lucky
entries
one.
did
There
come
was a
from
little
your family?
persuasion. Yeah, I mean, I knew I was entering it because I watched the podcast. I've been watching since last year when you guys did the first giveaway. I've been watching it since then, and then when it came back out this year, I knew I was going to put in for it, and I knew my dad wanted to put in for it because he's been wanting the lift kit forever, and
So then me get into it.
figured why not get her to put in for it, and I had my brother put in for it too, and her name ended up getting picked.
That's
Nice.
awesome. That's awesome. That's great. Yeah, and it was good because actually it was one of the early entries too. Because I think the entry ID was like number 12.
Yeah, because usually you guys post it pretty early on Thursday mornings most of the time.
Yeah.
And usually it's by the time I get to work and I'm sitting down and I kind of settled in. And once I'm done checking emails and stuff, I usually put it on in the background. So as soon as I heard that last one on the 2 weeks ago, I guess it was on Thursday, and you posted the link, I went right in and signed us all up for it.
Nice. Well, it's good. Now, Julia, I'm going to put you on the spot here because, you didn't put a sentence in, right? And there were quite a few little sentences there. So now, did you do one, Evan? Did you do a sentence?
I did, yeah.
You did?
I did one on mine. So I don't know if you could find mine. I'm probably
I've got the
10.
spreadsheet here. I'm looking for it. I'm going to see if I can
might be
find
like
yours.
9, 10, or 11 because I think I did my dad. I think my dad entered after me, and then I entered her after my dad. So I'm somewhere.
You're number 4, dude. You're like number 4. The fourth. And Kevin is your dad?
Yep.
Yeah, number 4 and number 5. So let's see what your sentence was. So
it wasn't the best, but I tried.
Jessy Combs, at the peak of her talent, had a eureka moment while on a shelf road that she could balance her entire Jeep on just the lug nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, she was definitely the type that had the talent where she probably could have done something.
She probably could have. Then I go, she probably has at one point. Not much that she hadn't done. Well, that's cool, man. Well, congratulations, Julia. So this is a show about Jeeps. What is your guys' Jeep in history? You got at least 2 Jeeps in the family. Tell us about that. What's your Jeep in history, and how did you get into Jeeps?
The history, I guess you could say, is fairly recent. When I was in high school, I've been a car guy, truck guy my whole life. When I was in high school, I wasn't really into Jeeps. I had an Explorer, and then I ended up with a Tacoma. My buddy always had a Jeep though. He's a big Jeep guy. He's probably had 5 or 6 of them over the years, and I always helped him build it. He'd buy it. It would already have some kind of lift kit on it. Of course, he wanted to change it, and I would always be there with him. Late night garage sessions throughout high school, and then a little bit after high school, we just kept doing it. And it wasn't until 2017, 2016, I think, I worked with this guy. He actually was my work leader at the time. He had this old yellow TJ, and he was getting ready to retire. I didn't want a yellow one. I didn't really like Jeeps, but I was like, it's a Jeep. I mean, it's a stick shift TJ, cool. And he was getting ready to retire. He wanted a vehicle that was easier to get in and out of. He was a kind of disabled guy at this point. He was getting tired of climbing in it. I think dealer offered him like $500 on trade-in. He knew, I'm not taking that. And so he ended up selling it to me for cheap. It was kind of a on the whim thing. We went out to lunch, and I was like, well, I'd give you $500 for it. And he was like, okay. And I was like, all right, I guess I'm buying a Jeep. So I called my dad that afternoon, and I was like, hey, I'm coming home with a Jeep on the trailer. Make some room in the driveway.
Yeah. Now, how many Jeeps do you have?
Well, I've had, the TJ that I have now is my fifth one. So, it started from there. I had the little yellow one for a while. That's what kickstarted it. It was a great little Jeep. Sold it to my buddy because his daughter wanted it for her first car. She loved yellow and she loved Jeep. And then I didn't have a Jeep for a little while, and then I missed having it. I had a Charger at the time. I wasn't really a big fan of it. So I traded that in. I had a newer one. I went and got a was an Anvil 2014, two-door Rubicon. I loved it. It had the 10th anniversary. It wasn't a 10th anniversary, but they had that black and red Rubicon on the side of the grill the hood with the Anvil color, leather interior. And it had a little lift on it and some 33s. But I mean, it was a nice Jeep. I off-roaded on some small trails a couple times, but I hated taking that expensive of a vehicle off-road, knowing that I still owed the bank $25,000 on the thing. Right. And I was taking it on these trails, getting pinstripes on it. And I was like, So I had it for about a year and ended up selling it because I got the TJ that I have now. It was another guy at work. His dad was looking to get rid of his TJ. Same kind of situation, except it had some problems. He put it in the ditch and messed up the front axle on it. It's real common on those TJs. The control arm brackets just kind of fold over. So he got quotes to get it repaired at a body shop. Of course, they wanted to put a whole new axle in it and all this. And his dad just didn't want to do that. So I ended up buying it off him for a good deal. Another 4-cylinder, but hey, it works. And
it works.
That's where I'm at now. I had a Cherokee in between, an XJ. I loved it. It was a cool little Jeep. Never really off-roaded it, but then I ended up getting rid of that because I liked having the stick shift and the Wrangler instead.
Nice.
I have a Jeep story.
Yeah, she's got one too.
We live outside Washington, D.C. I'm born and raised here. And we have Route 66. Before Route 66 was born, they dug up where it was going to be. And we'd take the Jeep Willys out into the unpaved place. And Tyson's Corner Center, I don't know if you're familiar with the big mall in Tyson's Corner, which is in McLean. They're digging in for big buildings. And we would go four-wheeling in the Willys to, before they put up the buildings and stuff. It was
really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
As I was saying, it's kind of a recent thing that the family has gotten back into Jeeps because,
that was 50 years ago.
Yeah, her friend, and they had Jeep 50 years ago, and my dad, probably 30, 40 years ago when he used to go camping with his buddies, he was an ATV guy. He got like the very first four-wheeler that Honda made. I don't remember. I guess it was back in the 80s or 70s or something. And all his buddies had the four-wheeler trucks. They had Tacomas and Jeeps and Broncos, but he never had a off-roader for himself until he got the Explorer in the early 2000s, late 90s, which is the one that I ended up with. It wasn't until it was around the time. Yeah, it was when I bought that Rubicon, the 2014, and he rode around in it with me. He was like, I like this. I just want an automatic. So he went and bought himself a 2013 two-door Sport. And he liked it, but a year later he traded up because he wanted a four-door for the dogs and stuff. So
nice.
Yeah.
So what does he have
now?
now?
A long time ago, they were in off-roading, and then I guess me and my brother kind of put a hold on them doing that kind of stuff for.
Yeah, funny how family does that, huh?
Yeah. 20 years, 25 years of having kids, raising kids, they weren't able to do it. And now I kind of kickstarted Dad back into the hobby a little bit.
Well, you feel proud about that one. That's awesome.
I do. Yeah, I try.
So what does your dad have now?
Now he has a 2013 Sahara four-door.
Okay.
I think he's had that for almost 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing crazy. I mean, it's a blue Patriot blue, or I guess not Patriot blue anymore, but it looks almost the same blue as my TJ, which is cool. It's a Sahara. The only thing that we've done to it is I got a set of wheels and tires off a guy in town who just bought a JT Rubicon. So it's got the 33 or the 285 70s, whatever they call them.
Right.
I bought those for him, I think last year for Father's Day, and put them on because they fit on the JK pretty well. I had to put a set of spacers on it, but outside of that, they fit great, and that's it. He loves it primarily because he likes the Jeeps because they're like perfect height for him. He could just kind of fall into it. He has a Cruise that he drives for work, but he hates getting it down and then up out of it. So
nice way. So what do you guys do with your Jeeps out there? Like, where do you go wheeling?
Well, I do most of my wheeling. Probably the most common place I go to is Uwharrie. I don't know if you guys have ever been there. I know, Corey, you guys do a lot of traveling, but Uwharrie is a kind of a smaller, like state park down in North Carolina. They got
there's some cool stuff there though.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool trails. It's nothing crazy, but there's enough to get into some trouble for sure. I've done that probably 2 or 3 times. We've been to Windrock once, so I got their shirt. It was a great time. I love that place. It's just, it's about an 8-hour drive for us.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's,
Massive.
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a ride.
Well, we used to go to Woodstock, Virginia.
Yeah, we used to.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
this little fire access type road. There's 2 of them. There's one in Woodstock. I forget. It's like some kind of, I forget the name of it, but there's another one. There's Flagpole Knob. It's another small, real fire access road. There's not. I used to take my Tacoma, and my buddy had his like stock 95 Ranger and stuff. It's kind of like my little shakedown trail now. It's only about an hour and a half away. Every time I wrench on the Jeeps, put a new suspension, I try to take it out there just to test it.
How far are you guys away from Pennsylvania stuff? Like the Eastern
It's not that
PA?
far, actually. That was the most recent trip that I did. I still haven't even cleaned the Jeep from it or fixed it from it. We did AOAA.
Yeah.
That was the first time I've been there. And yeah, I really want to go back to there because that was a lot closer. I think that was only about 3.5 hours. I was actually able to drive my Jeep there, wheel it, broke it, fixed it, and was still able to drive it back. So that was nice. And that was definitely a nice trail system. I think their trails were marked very nice. Most of them seem like they're one way. It's very clear. If you want to go back to camp, you just follow the arrows. So AOA was a nice trail. I can't wait to go back there for sure.
They've spent a lot of money and a lot of time in creating that system out there. And the guy who runs that park, they're actually looking at doing the same thing with this new piece of land that PA is acquired. But right there, you've got famous Redding and you've got Roush Creek as well, right? In that
my other buddy has another 2-door Rubicon friend. He's got the MetalCloak fenders and stuff. He's been talking about Roush Creek a lot. He really wants to do that. I keep telling him, I'm like, yeah, I'll go with you, but I don't really know if the TJ on 33s with a Dana 35 is really up to Roush Creek level because I don't want to be.
Yeah, I
don't want to lose an axle shaft on the trail.
Right. Well, Bernie's out there; he can fix it for me.
Oh yeah,
that's true. Yeah. Find someone to fix it for me.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So what about your dad? Has he gone with you? You guys on wheeling trips together, or is he waiting for his rig to get built up a little bit?
He did with the last one when he had the 2-door. He did the Flagpole Knob Trail with us, which again, there is a couple good twisty spots on it. I mean, if you have a no locker stock vehicle, you have to be okay with just kind of hammering it to get it over some of the obstacles. So it has a little twisty spot, which was fun for him. I mean, the JKs, even without the lockers, because he had a base model Sport, but it had the same tires on it, the Rubicon 33s. They do surprisingly well. A lot of people, always forget about that. If you put a JK or a JL in low range, it automatically does that brake lock differential thing. And I mean, he was able to crawl right up it. He saw me struggling with it. And so he was scared to do it. And I said, no, trust me, just put it in low range and ease on the throttle and it'll start to spin, give it a little more throttle and it'll crawl right out of it. And it did. And it was great because it pulled the front wheel probably, that high off the ground. He felt it come way up and he was like, oh, that was great.
That's awesome.
He had a great time. He burnt himself because, him and my brother were riding in his Jeep. So he put the top back. And, when you're riding with the top back for a long time, a lot of people don't think about it because you got the wind blowing on you. It feels good. Then you stop and you're like, ow, I hurt myself.
I needed a spiderweb shade in that one.
He did. Yeah.
Right?
He's got one on his now. He's got the hard top, but he put one of the Sunrider front pieces with a spider shade though, because
nice.
But he hasn't taken this one off road yet. He's wanted to. It's just hard with his schedule because he works every weekend. He's at retail, so he's off Thursday, Friday, and then I'm off Saturday, Sunday. So, and all my buddies are off Saturday, Sundays too. So that's when we always do our riding. So one of these days, yeah, and especially now, once his Jeep is even better now, yeah, he's definitely going to want to go. I think
you guys
really
have kept this a secret.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
So how is he not figuring all this stuff out? He's going to be mad at you that you're on this podcast. I can tell you, he's going to be very upset.
I'm not always off on the same day. So it just happened to be I was off on Monday, Tuesday this week. And he was like, this will work out perfect. So he took some time off today. So he doesn't get home 5 or 6 o'clock. So
how are you
Timing is-
surprising him?
Yeah, how are you gonna let him know?
Well, I guess it kind of depends on when the stuff shows up. I assume it's not going to show up by Christmas because I know Christmas is hectic trying to get it.
You'd
But
be surprised.
Depends on.
It depends.
It's
I
just-
mean, we have a
if
lot
not-
to
he's so used
we have a
to
lot
having
to get caught
purpose.
up with on from the sale we just had, but
Yeah.
we'll get the orders in and suspension especially. So it may very well.
yeah, that's true.
And if
'cause it doesn't have
not,
to go out for powder
what
coating
we'll
or
do,
anything. Right.
if we think it's going to be a little bit longer, what we'll do is we can send something else, like a shirt or something that you just put in an obscure
With
box,
the gift certificate or
and
Right.
and he'll open it up and go, well, what the hell is this for?
Well, I was kind of planning on doing that anyways because I'm gonna buy him, a new front drive shaft for it, just because I don't want to deal with the stock drive shaft going out on him. So
Yeah.
I was hoping, get a drive shaft for it, and I'll box it up and have him unwrap it, and he's gonna be like, "Who'd you give me a drive shaft for?" And I'll be like, "I don't know. Why don't you go look in the back of the truck?" And then,
Yeah.
Yeah, you
There you
gotta get like a big box with just a U-joint in it.
Oh
There you
yeah.
go.
I'll get one of those get one of the aftermarket CV joints for the drive shaft. Be
wrap
like,
it
"Yeah."
in tape, wrap it in tape, wrap
Yeah.
it.
Or I'll get him the MetalCloak windshield banner. I'll just slap it on his windshield for him, and he'll be like, "What's that for?" I'll be like, "I don't
Yeah,
know."
thanks.
Oh no.
That's weird. So
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
what
Merry
kind of
Christmas,
changes
Dad.
are you
Sorry,
thinking to
buddy's tight. Here's a
make?
decal.
Yeah, right. That's all
Right.
you could do. What changes are you thinking of making?
On his Jeep,
Mm-hmm.
primarily, I want to keep it with like a 2.5 lift on his because he likes the height of it now.
Right.
But he's always talked about he loves the height of it. It's easy to get in and out of and drive. But he wants it to look a little better, obviously, and he wants to eventually upgrade to some 35s. But he doesn't want to go any bigger than 35s, and I don't blame him because I don't want to deal with whatever else it
All the
takes to
other
do
stuff.
bigger
Right.
than that.
Especially on a JK, a little bit more details. Yeah.
Yeah, and on the if you do a 3.5 on the JK, and you do 35s, they start to look small. So
Yeah.
I was thinking kind of like 2.5-inch lift for his. He doesn't need anything crazy. I mean, he's only going to take it on a couple of the small green type trails when he happens to go with me and my buddies. So he doesn't need anything crazy. I wouldn't mind doing like the game changer lift for him. I mean, he's got like 80, almost 90,000 miles on it. The suspension seems tight on it. I checked it a couple months ago when it was due for inspection, but obviously control arms are getting a little old. I don't know if it's worth replacing them or not. So I didn't want to go too crazy with this because he doesn't like the look of, fenders and all that. He likes his because he got the Sahara, so he's got the body colored fenders. He likes
Body
the way
matched,
that looks now. Yeah. When he had the Sport with the black fenders, he kept seeing the ones with the painted fenders, and he always kind of wanted it. So he doesn't want to lose that, and he doesn't want to go too crazy with it. He'll wheel it a couple times on some small roads, but he's not looking to go too much with it. I just want
Nice.
He'll be
Yeah.
surprised.
because I did a leveling kit on his truck for him and put some bigger tires on it. He loved it. That's all he wanted was just that little bit with some meaty tires, and that was great for him.
What about your TJ?
Well, for the TJ, I already have. I've been really happy with the lift on it. I've got the Game Changer 3.5. The Rock Sport shocks. It's been riding really good. I did the new, was it Correct Link Curry steering setup on it. I kept the factory like Y Link style. It rides good. It's taken everything I've wanted. But even though my dad's not a fan of them, I've always loved the MetalCloak fenders. The way that you guys actually integrate them. You replace the whole fender assembly instead of doing just the flare like a lot of people do. So I've always wanted to do that. I installed a set for a friend of mine like 2 years ago. He bought a set for his TJ Rubicon. And especially after I was working with him for a while, I was like, yeah, these are nice.
Nice.
Yeah, the
nice.
additional clearance, even on the backside of that fender, everything gets moved back towards the firewall, and people forget. And they think, well, but I don't need that space. Yeah, until you turn
get a
your
lot of
tires,
room.
and the
Mhm.
back of the tire gets into that wheel well.
Well,
so-
especially when you lift it, because when you lift it, it kind of pulls your axle backwards, and you're putting a bigger tire on it. Yeah.
Yep.
So because my buddy's got some 35s on his TJ, I think his suspension lift was only like a 2-inch, and those tires, I mean, he could probably go up a size if he wanted to, honestly. I stretched it out for him when I'd put them on, and I couldn't get the tires to rub even when I tried.
Mm-hmm.
What style you like? The arch, or the overline?
I like the overline looks better. And that is what I would prefer on mine, just because I don't plan on going much bigger than that. I have another build that I'm working on in the process. I have a Dodge Dakota, an old V8, 5-speed Dakota that I'm putting a Super Duty axle and stuff like that under. So that's going to be my like big rock crawler. The TJ is going to go on the more, it's going to go off road, obviously, because I already do, but that's kind of like my beach cruiser, green trail, blue trail type rig. So I don't plan on doing big axles and 37s. So I don't need the extra clearance that the arched ones. My buddy did the arched ones, and yeah, they're nice because he's got big wheel spacers on it and it gives you that crazy clearance for the tires, but I don't plan on doing that on mine. So I do prefer the look of the flatline ones, or I guess the overline.
Well, once it's built, you're gonna have to take your mom out on a trip.
Oh, absolutely.
You're gonna have to. She gets all kinds of credit for this one.
Oh, definitely.
So then, now what are you gonna buy her? Like, as Christmas is coming up, because she just won you $5,000 worth of parts. What are you gonna buy her?
She gave me a list at where were we the other day? I think we went out to lunch the other day. I met her at work and we went out to lunch, and yeah, she gave me a list. Of course, there's not much on it. I gotta try to get more out of her, but it's.
Well, I'm pacing him because my birthday's 5 days later.
That's true.
Oh,
yeah.
wow!
So,
Yeah,
birthday's on the 30th, and Christmas.
So is my mom's. So is my mom's birthday. So
oh, really?
yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
My son's on the 27th.
It's always that. It's always that thing. You always have to make sure that it was separate. We every year, like don't combine them. Make sure it's specifically a separate birthday.
The birth miss is not fun.
Hopefully, I can try to figure out something else that I don't know. Maybe she'll let me take her out to a nice dinner on her birthday or something. I don't know. She always says she doesn't want anything, and it's always hard to shop. It's always hard to shop for your parents. So I don't know.
I'd be happy with a bunch of crabs. But I'd rather sit in my own living room because it takes a while to eat, or in my own dining room. Yeah, we might go to a restaurant and sit there trying to eat as much as right. I like to pace myself.
We might do maybe we'll do a big family, crab out or something. Get a bushel of crabs or something.
Blue crabs.
Nice.
Now you got to plan on.
I guess that's what I'm doing.
ModernJeeper.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Well, we've got to figure out an East Coast ModernJeeper Adventure. We got to figure this out because there's so much out there we need to do.
We have a few in mind.
Oh, you talking about like coming out this way?
Yeah, like doing a ModernJeeper Adventure out there where we do a multi-day trip.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We had put together 3 parks in 3 days, and that was Famous Reading, Roush, and AOAA, and that was prior to COVID, and our planning and our schedule was just kind of everything got so crazy. And I think we even had registration up, but we weren't so comfortable about trying to pull it together because we were going to have to get all the way across the coast. So we got timing wise is huge. Our friend Ricky that owns Jeepers Den down in Orlando, Florida, he wants us to come put together a Georgia Traverse, kind of an overlanding camping trip. And it's nothing crazy, but it's a really beautiful area. That's probably going to happen first before the 3 parks in 3 days, because that's going to be a little bit more of an extreme event. But yeah, I hope we can put together something. We've talked about it now for long enough that we just have to find some time and make a date.
Yeah, it would definitely be cool. I mean, that's another one of the reasons I've always wanted to go out west and do some of the out west wheeling, just because I haven't got to do any of that. But it'd definitely be cool to have some of those events on the East Coast. Like I missed the Jeep event that happens in Tennessee, the Smoky Mountain, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make that this year, but I didn't discover it till last minute. But
dude, it's insane.
It's a huge event.
I saw the videos of it, and I was actually kind of glad for a little bit that I didn't go, because I was like, man, I wouldn't have been able to park. I don't even
right.
No. If you found a strip of grass, you'd find a place to park. And that's what it came down to. There were parking everywhere, sides of the hills, parking sidewalks. They were parking everywhere.
Nuts.
Yeah, I saw that, and maybe next year. But yeah, an East Coast thing would be great. And I know I got at least 2 or 3 of my other Jeep buddies that I know they'd probably come along as long as they had enough of a heads up and we planned it. Yeah, that it'd be awesome to do something like that.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be fun to have you. We'll tell you what, we'll throw in as a bonus registration for your Jeep. So
there you go.
That'll work.
Part of the Zolar win. So you're covered. You just got to choose which event you want to do. Outside the Rubicon, any of the events outside of the Rubicon. Rubicon's a different kind of event, so that's kind of. But any of the other events, Tillamook, Death Valley, 1, 2, 3, or 4, Moab, San Juan's, you're covered.
Colorado, yeah.
It's not
extreme. That'd be a drive for you to get to Tillamook, Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah, see if I could drive to TJ there and wheel it and drive it back. Yeah.
Man, you'd need like a month, but
oh, dude. I mean, I can do 70 in that thing now with that new flywheel, with the center force flywheel on the 4-cylinder. It'll do 70, but not with any sort of incline.
There's so much to see though. You'd want to take your time and
I would be able to really take my time. Yeah. Especially when you hit the mountains in Colorado area.
That's right.
30 miles an hour. I'll see all of it.
There you go.
Yep.
Well, I think you should get your dad's rig set up and the two of you do a nice Death Valley trip or a Moab trip. That would be fun because cool. Each one of those is his rig would work great, out there. And,
he's always wanted to go out west too because he's also a big golfer, so he knows, kind of like with wheeling, golfing is kind of the same. It's just always cool to go to a different place. So
absolutely,
new courses, new area, something like that maybe.
Yeah, with all the crazy stuff we saw at Death Valley, I didn't think anybody actually set up a little golf course. That'd be kind of funny. Go out there and just find a little plot of land and just like set up a golf course.
Well, there's a golf course.
There's a golf course in Death Valley.
Yeah, at Furnace Creek. Yeah, the resort.
At the resort. But I'm just thinking like you have everything. You have Batman pole. You have the Warm Springs. Like, just go out in no place. What is that?
Turf though.
It'd have to be fake grass.
Just you put some fake grass out there. You have all you need is your green for your tee, and then for your green for the just in between it can be dirt.
Yeah, I mean, because if you hit the dirt, you just should have done better, anyways. I guess.
You should, right? Yeah, you can't make it. Yeah, little par 3.
Go back to Jeeping. You're not good at this.
Yeah, exactly. Just go out there. Like you could actually, if you do it, you could go like from Warm Springs to that other campground, like between the two. Like you just you shoot, you end up at the other campground. You go back and forth. Why not?
Why not?
Just one more thing. We'll put it out there and we'll put a story behind it. Well, technically, this is according to a plan we found from Scotty. Scotty originally planned on putting a golf course out here.
Where are you going with that big roll of AstroTurf?
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Follow me and find out.
That would be fun. Well, that's awesome. This is gonna be great. I think you guys can have a lot of fun with it. So we'll get you all set up. Of course, it'll just be a straight. Usually in the past, what we've done is reward the actual product. What we're basically going to do is give you a $5,000 credit on account. So you can just go in.
I can make that work.
Dive into it. And
but I already, trust me. Once she got the email and said you want to, I'd already kind of pretended to be on the website, being like, what could I do if I had like a kid in a candy store? Every kid's dream. You got 30 seconds to grab whatever you want from the toy store.
Yes.
I kind of already got an idea of what I wanted to do with it. I did my research.
You guys ever see? There used to be a show. You just kind of reminded me. I'm going on a total tangent, which is what we do all the time. There was a show back in like the early 80s, so way before your time, Evan, I'm sure. And it was people or it was Incredible Things or something like that. It was one of these shows, and it was a nightly show, and they were once a week, and they do these incredible things or incredible stories. And it's like 4 or 5 co-hosts. In fact, when I lived in LA in North Sacramento, one of the co-hosts was actually down the street from us. It was just kind of funny, but one of the stories they told was a gal who had answered a ad, and the ad was for a bank. Like a bank wanted to do a marketing promotion, and she just randomly answered the ad, went into the interview, and got the position. Well, what it was a single day marketing thing where they filled their vault with cash on the ground. And then she had to, as much as she could gather and catch and carry out, is what she won. mean, can you imagine that? Like, she showed up in the loose dress, right, and had to go in and just kind of circle,
yeah.
like gather the whole thing. But as a kid, you look at that, go, man, like if I could do that with a candy store, or if I could do that at the toy store, or man, just get an opportunity to go through Toys R Us, because they used to have a Toys R Us, and just get whatever you want, or the shopping cart full of stuff.
Yeah, running down the shelf just with the arm out, grabbing everything, and just shuffling it into the cart. Yeah.
You get a virtual cash stuff now because you have the MetalCloak website will be open to you. I'll send you an email when it's all set up, and we'll get it all set going. But the MetalCloak website is going to be open to you, and
literally the adult version of those kid dreams.
Yes, exactly. It's your own version. It's a big boy version. You can get the big stuff. You can get lots of little stuff, whatever it is. I mean, you could get $5,000 worth of decals if you want. I mean, that's
maybe I'll do the 5,000 individual orders. That way I can get 5,000 entries into the gift cards.
Right.
Now he's thinking.
Matson's brain is already like, how can we not do this?
He's got to prevent this from happening next year.
It is funny though, because we do, like, I do the giveaways, and we do them all the daily giveaways. And like I was saying earlier, it's just, just put your order in. And I've always in the back of my mind going, well, maybe there needs to be an order limit. Maybe it's $50, maybe it's $100, whatever an order limit is. But same thing here. It's just about being a listener, right? And with ModernJeeper, we're just trying to encourage you to be a listener and get out there and share it and tell people about it. And hopefully you'll tell your story, and that'll encourage more people to come to the show. And and then we're entertaining enough for communicate well enough that people go, oh, I actually like listening to these guys.
I really liked it because I just always, there's all sorts of podcasts you could find everywhere, and there's YouTube videos for everything, but I liked you guys because you talk about Jeeps, in all aspects.
Sometimes we try to.
Well,
we definitely get sidetracked.
Sometimes like
shiny things.
Right. Whoops, squirrel.
It's anything from where you're taking them, the problems people have. It's just nice to hear some like tech talk about it combined with the normal,
experience.
Everyday struggles with trying to get off road. Because that's like an issue that me and my friends have all had. We've been big off roaders for the last 7-8 years probably, but the biggest issue is just always trying to actually get off road, get everyone together and get off road, and
Nice I have to live vicariously through Corey and Jessy because they get off.
Right.
I mean, even for us though, it's I think we did a lot more real off-roading when I wasn't a part of the industry, but it's just different now, and I think that our sport has it's evolved. It's definitely changed from what it was 20-25 years ago, where we used to be able to just go out on a trail and it didn't really matter. Now it seems like either there's so many people doing the exact same thing. We have different, different priorities in our own lives. Why we can't go on some? We come up with all these excuses.
Someone's trying to get some trail shut down here and there.
Except
stop littering on the trails, so it's like, oh, we're gonna lose that trail soon.
Except Corey has like some of the most amazing trails in the world, like 5 minutes away from his house, so he doesn't have a lot of excuses.
They're covered with snow right now.
Well,
you can have
just that thing, and not being home ever, but
Yeah. I actually took a picture of the new to me tow rig for next year. I think it may have experienced its first snowstorm. I'm thinking it probably is wondering what is this? Why I live in California. I don't live in the snow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and now I imagine it's probably been up to Tahoe a couple of times to Aaron's cabin to get some stuff. It probably has, but and it didn't experience. Well, your rig experienced. It was kind of funny because you think about that, like me driving your rig home, which has been through a lot of snow, was probably thinking, who's this idiot driver that can't handle the snow?
What's going on?
This is nothing. There's a little dust on the ground. So what if the rear end's sliding around with a trailer? It's nothing.
Fine.
Just fine.
Yeah.
Of course, he's also thinking, why are you driving me so hard?
Yeah.
The pedals never hit the floor.
No. Oh, you better be nice to that truck.
Well, see, now it's just the shop truck. We decided not to sell it. It's staying as a shop truck now. Yeah. we were going to sell it
Sometimes that could be
to
worse for it, though.
Yeah,
well, that's what I'm saying.
The shop trucks usually have a hard life.
It's a shop mule now. We're getting rid of the little powder coat trailer that we truck.
Yeah,
so it's going to be driven every day.
Yeah, Evan knows, and that was this truck was Aaron's personal truck for a few years, and when that was going to become my truck, I was like, hey, that's totally fine. And then I found out, it's been down at the shop for a year or so. I kind of went, oh no.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
It's in good shape.
When was the last time this thing had an oil change in it? The light's been on for 5,000 miles.
Oil change?
We take care of our stuff occasionally. Trust me.
That's right.
I am not in charge of taking care of vehicles for a reason. Okay. I finally got my TJ smogged last week on Tuesday or Wednesday. I got it smogged. And it's been like it was due back in like February or March, right? Now it was all about the fact that my hood had gotten replaced and I didn't have the decal.
Oh, your VIN number's not there anymore. You got a new VIN. You got to test it.
The carb decal for the little for the cold air system. And I finally, I finally was able to get a hold of the guys. I was finally able to do it. And I'd gone back and forth with this place a couple of times, the smog place on it a couple of times. And here's the right one. Okay, well, you have to have the sticker. Well, I don't have the sticker because, long story short, the reason I have a new hood is because last time I came to you guys, you didn't latch my locks down. It flapped open. The hood had to get replaced because it got damaged. So the sticker's on the old hood. Whatever.
Bought the non-California hood.
Right. Yeah. So I got the sticker.
Yeah.
So I got
it's a 49 state hood.
Yep.
Yep. I got a big
block. They got the little sticker on there that says it's carb compliant in New York and California. If you didn't buy a New York or California hood, it's no longer carb compliant.
Do you guys have emissions in Virginia?
In the county that we're in, we only fall under the federal regulations. So
Gotcha.
The county next to us, as you get closer to, we're only about a half hour outside of DC. But once you get about 5 minutes east of us towards DC, you get into a county where, they require the smog checks. It's like every 2 years, I think, but it's not as strict as New York and California. You're still allowed to have a 48 state vehicle. But in the county that we're at, we only fall under the federal EPA laws, which is primarily just a visual emissions inspection. So you can have a 48 state federal emissions level vehicle, and the only part of our inspection is they're going to look at it and make sure that it still has a catalytic converter and still has your EGR valve. It all has to still be there. But no, where I'm at, they don't actually test it. It's just a visual inspection. So it's definitely a lot nicer.
Yeah.
Nice. Yes. Not here in California. California is
I've heard the horror stories, man. Like the TJs, the later model TJs that have the 2 catalytic converters right off the manifold. You guys are spending $2,500, $3,000 for just a set of converters that'll pass in California because you can't hardly get carb compliant converters for those older vehicles anymore.
Right. Well, it's ridiculous stuff now. It's even, we looked at replacing the generator that's been on the CTI trailer for a number of years, and I didn't even think about it. I started looking at them and here's a generator we can buy, and we can't use that in California. And I'm like, huh?
You can.
But it's a generator. That one's not carb compliant. That's a different, you want that level of generator. That's a different generator.
Yep.
Wow.
Well, even just because I actually ordered the generator, and so Corey had an generator. I went on Amazon and I ordered this particular generator for Corey and got it shipped out. But Amazon by default was saying, I can't ship it to you. We can't ship, big red letters, can't ship it to you. Can't ship it to California.
Yep.
But I can ship it anywhere else. It's a 49 state. Couldn't come. They would not even let it come into California.
So a lot of stuff does buy it and have it shipped to online. What's that? Go ahead, Evan.
A lot of places do that now, especially with the recent EPA crackdowns. I mean, if you try to buy certain exhaust systems or a programmer, because you could be changing the characteristics of the way the vehicle is programmed, and you put in a California address, locks you out. And sometimes it'll kick your whatever laptop or phone you went on the website with. It will block your IP from their website permanently because it doesn't want to ship it to California. They've gotten pretty bad with that. And New York is fairly similar too. New York State almost has the same emissions level of California.
That's crazy. I mean, like for a guy with an RV that has to have his generator in his RV, and now it is. I mean, if you can't replace it, but you live in California, what, you go to Arizona and then just drive it back across the border, and then
what a lot of guys do.
I mean, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, you have to play the game. Like if you lived up in Northern California and you had a diesel truck, you might as well have your truck registered in Oregon, because you can go and do def delete up there. People play the game, right? And it's kind of crazy. It's just like buying fireworks, but now we're going to be buying generators and other stuff across the border.
And then I've got a big smuggling business bringing generators into California.
There you go.
You probably make a lot of money bringing in air blowers too, like leaf blowers, because because they still need them.
Electric ones now, right?
Yeah. Well, and the electric ones, like I've got my little handheld ones. They got ones that are pretty powerful electric ones, but even then, I'm sorry, wah versus wee. I mean, which sound do you really want?
You only get like 20 minutes out of it tops. I mean, my dad's got one. He's got the big like 8 amp hour electric battery for it. It's great. I use it to blow off the driveway before I work on the vehicles, but they have a small front yard, and he tried to go blow the leaves out of it, and he got halfway and battery died. It's like,
a couple more years, we're going to be having these same conversations. We're going to be talking about the millions of little lithium batteries that, what are we going to do with all of them? And where are we going to dispose of those? And
all the cultures that we've wiped out in these other countries mining for the lithium. But hey,
well, that was a big thing in Death Valley too. They've the government groups out there and the different groups are scouting Death Valley for lithium. They're pretty much convinced they're going to find some deep mine out there and solve the lithium problem in Death Valley.
Big glowing yellow pond, and you'll be like, "What's that?" That's lithium mine.
Yep. That's what they're trying to do.
Well, at least you didn't name your Jeep is Funshine instead of lithium. Well, awesome. Hey, this has been fantastic. So we'll get things set up for you. Julia and Evan, appreciate it. Julia, thank you so much for being a part of this. And Evan, it's been awesome. Absolute pleasure talking with you.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's been great. So we'll get things going. Now, of course, part of the sole responsibilities is actually get your Jeeps done, share those images, and with the ModernJeeper community as well. And of course, we got to get you on a trip. So whichever one it is. I think Death Valley is a pretty spectacular way of seeing the West. It is a bit of a drive for you. Moab, of course, is awesome, and Colorado. I haven't even done Colorado yet, so now that I've got this idea of being able to bring my kids along, I can take one at a time.
And you're allowed to.
I'm allowed. Well, it's encouraged.
It's encouraged.
Take one. No. Take the other one.
Please,
no.
Please take them.
Take them, please. Take them.
Yeah, I'd love to do it one of these days. Yeah, it's definitely going to happen. Me and my buddies have been talking about it for a couple of years now.
All right.
Eventually going to plan a trip out there.
Talk is cheap. You got to do it.
Yep.
I like to say that because I can live vicariously through others.
When we're back on the road for the CTI tour and whatnot next year, maybe we'll be out your way at one point, and we'll have to reach out and touch base for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Shoot an email. I'll get it eventually. She'll get it. She'll notify me, or I'll see it. Something.
Cool.
That's awesome. Well, hey, Ethan, we're going to go ahead and we're going to continue a little bit talking some other stuff. I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. Appreciate all of you being a part of this again. Julia and Evan, congratulations. We'll get you hooked up. And
thank you. Appreciate you guys very much.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Y'all have a good one.
See you later.
Bye.
So, hey, that was pretty awesome. Yeah, great, awesome people. I mean, I love it when it comes, and that's what great part about this giveaway too, is being able to bring on the winners and actually talk with them, because these are everyday people. Now we don't do enough interviews as it is, and we used to do a lot more interviews, but we don't do enough as it is. So, but being able to bring people together and see these and just learn about the everyday modern Jeeper out there.
Yeah, it's kind of it's definitely refreshing just to know that. I don't know. We touch a lot of people, and we talk to a lot of people in person, and there's people that we get to reach out to and that follow us and are a part of our worlds without us really knowing it. So to have them on and be able to chat even just for 30 minutes is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so now you guys got all the stuff installed. I'm sure we'll talk about that next week. Some more tech tips, installation tips, that sort of thing for
You
Funshine.
bet.
What's
bet.
Funshine's first big trip now that it's all ready to go?
So we've had such the A2Z Overland Expo is going to be in Bullhead City next weekend. Those folks have been great, and we had initially talked about how we could get out to that event, number one, and of course, for this will be the first time that we've gone to an event where we're not bringing the CTI trailer. We're actually going to really showcase the ARS brands, and of course the MetalCloak stuff that we have on display as well. But we were fighting to make sure that we were going to get her Jeep done. Well, it's going to be ready to go. The problem becomes, how much little space we have to go to a show in a JL. So I think, and because of the way the show has worked with us, I think we're going to be able to go out there. We're going to take the Gladiator and Funshine. We're going to drive them both out there. I think we'll have a really nice ARS display. We'll be able to really showcase the rack on the JL as well as the rack on the Gladiator, and all the suspension and the fender. I mean, her Jeep it's done. I gotta hand it to her. When I first saw that she was wanting to color match the fenders, I kind of thought, man, it's gonna be bright. But the black button head bolts in the fenders underneath with black inner fender liners,
right.
The black cage, the wheels and tires, that lift, that thing it's so sharp and it's so clean right now. So before it gets all abused, I think it's going to be a huge looker.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think A2Z will be its first showing, and it'll also give us a chance to work out some of the bugs. There's always an issue that this needs tightened and that kind of stuff. But because she doesn't have a whole lot of room in her Jeep, she found she's been looking at tools and whatnot. And she found she only needs to carry one tool now in her entire tool collection.
Yeah, right.
One of those. Nice.
That's it. I mean, it is a
universal
from 8mm to 22mm wrench.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's it. That's all you need to carry now. You can just throw one of these in your toolbox or in your glove box.
You don't need 20 wrenches.
You're done.
And you're light.
That's it. Don't need them at all. How thick is that? Wow.
It's about.
So have you used it? Have you used it on any parts?
Yeah.
No. I think it's stainless.
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's stainless. The teeth on it are really, really small.
Yeah, kind of wondering how it grabs there.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
it's probably a good emergency tool, right?
Exactly.
It's going to work in a pinch.
Yeah, I'm curious about how much torque you could really put on a, and of course it would have to be an exposed bolt. It's something you get to the top of it with. I don't know. I'm really curious though that it's kind of a neat idea. Again, it's I don't know. No. We'll see.
Well, speaking of tools, I went ahead and made my little purchase, and I actually decided, even though the recommendation around here was Milwaukee, and your recommendation was with the rigid. I already had a couple of Ryobi tools because I already had a couple in there, and I kept looking at all these kits. I'm like, well, I already have that. So I just decided to just add a 1/2-inch driver impact to it. And also a 3/8 inch of small handheld type of driver, right? One, and probably going to get in a grinder. So I got a few things, and I also got a little Ryobi air up tool, right? Little things that. So nice little kit, some things, some new batteries, new chargers, and of course the adapter to allow the Ryobi battery to run in the Power Wheels. So we kind of got all. So it was good. It's a better kit than what I had. Since I already had some of the tools, I think it's going to work fine. But that way I can retire the Craftsman stuff. I actually did buy on Amazon. I bought a couple of new Craftsman batteries, right? They're not Craftsman brand. There's some knockoff, but I figured actually for the Craftsman tools, I'm now going to set them aside, and they're now going to be the kids' tools that they can use and learn with. Other than the grinder, they don't need that, but the other tools they can now use and learn with, and have the Craftsman tools for them.
I think that's a great way to do it. I can't, again, not having I told her yesterday, I'm like, hey, I should go into business and we should have a shop here. No. It's always
Did you throw
amazing.
something at him when he said that?
Well, it's funny when you have your own time, and again, it's been a long time since I've done a whole project like her Jeep, and we had a whole bunch of people that showed up at the house and helped do the lift and stuff. I didn't have to have any part of that, which I'm amazingly sore. My shoulders, my hands, everything, it just aches. But having the right tools, and no installation goes without some kind of an issue. And I think when I was, as we were working on her fenders and whatnot, I always think, when somebody takes their Jeep to a shop and the shop says, yeah, well, we can install that stuff and it's gonna be like $500, and they go, what? Like, now it is absolutely capable. People, or anybody that has a little bit of mechanical incline can do what we've done in their garage. But the shop, that's a different level of expertise. And the first time you do it, it's going to take them a little bit longer, and the second time they get better and better and better. There's common issues that always come up though, and there's a lot of special tools that I've acquired over the years that I'm pretty fortunate. I've got most anything that a professional shop would use, and it's amazing at those times when all of a sudden you go, oh, I'm going to have to go get that tool out of the drawer. That tool is never the first option. We're on option 3 now of you blow out a riv nut. I get it, like, it happens, and you've got to be extremely careful, and you got to take your time when some of that stuff happens, and you just kind of can't go. We were very fortunate. We lost a riv nut, and I knew it was spinning, and because I thought it was kind of cross threading, and riv nuts are very, very specific. You have to hit them so precise when they start to thread, and if you get on them, you will cross thread that, you will blow that riv nut out, and it will not tighten up. Well, the problem then is you've cross threaded a nut into a place that you can't get to. The part, you can't get it off. So a lot of times you end up having to cut the head off, pull the part off, drill it out. Sometimes you just have to be really, really patient, and you have to sit back. You come in the house, you take 5 minutes, you walk away from it, you go back out. I was able to take some pretty special needle nose channel locks, get behind the part far enough. I could keep pressure on the ledge of the edge of the riv nut enough to I could get the bolt out. Okay, fine. But now I still got this riv nut that's blown out. I was able to rethread it and reuse the tool, tighten it by hand, and it actually re-grabbed it, brought those threads in, smashed it again.
Wow.
And the riv nut was fine. Lucky.
Wow.
Like, that kind of stuff takes a shop a bunch of time, and you have to drill it out, and then you got a bigger hole, and it's horrible. So I don't know. I guess maybe my point is that sometimes you just got to be a little bit more patient, and sometimes if you're thinking that this is going to be a little bit more than you can bite off, then a shop is going to, they're going to quote you a price, and I guarantee you it probably takes them twice sometimes of what they quoted you, because they run into the same issues. But be okay with that. Like, as a job or shop, these guys are trying to make a living. They quoted you 8 hours to work on your Jeep, and they're going to spend 20 on it. They ain't getting paid for that extra. Or maybe they are when you walk in there and they go, oh yeah, by the way, this is going to cost you double. I don't know a lot of shops that do that, but they'll probably call you first and go, hey, we've had an issue. We got into this and now it's this. But anyway, we always come across stuff that doesn't quite work out as smoothly as we want. And sometimes instructions aren't extremely clear. you just have to be able to look a little bit past that. MetalCloak's instructions are they do a very good job. A lot of companies do not. And you know what? Another thing that MetalCloak does that a lot of other companies don't do is they create the video. Now we can all go to YouTube and watch a video, but as part of the installation instructions on the website, you can look at the part and look at the install video as well. And it may just it's a nice dual thing. If you've never seen something installed before, to watch somebody do it, and then you kind of go, oh, that's what that is, that I saw in the instructions, but it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Sometimes that really helps. So,
and we were double dipping on each, corner. I mean, we had inner and the fenders. So we were simultaneously going back and forth through instructions to get it all in there so we wouldn't have to take anything apart to reinstall whatever it was.
Right.
So that me keeping him in order and having tools in order and having that organization. And
that's an interesting point too, because in the early TJ, obviously the fender is all part of it, right? JK and JL, it's always been separate. JK is a little bit easier because it's easy to pull those inner fender wells out of JK, right? But a JL might be interesting to take and merge the fenders and inner fender instructions into one for those that are doing both.
Because there's a lot of times where, and it's pretty good because you can install the flare, the fender itself. You can have that already on there and do the insides later. And the instructions are pretty good about saying, you need to take 3 of these bolts out that you had already installed.
Right.
But if you don't have either going on yet, you kind of got to feel your way through it. And I don't know how many times we've had everything installed and we went, huh, that's all got to come back off because we didn't hook this up. Or, oh, wait, there's one more hole that needs a riv nut on the inners that we didn't do with the fender. So now that's got to come off. We got to put this one more hole in there. And it's just kind of that stuff. And you just get real, again, to do them a couple of times now. I don't want to do them again, not until my hands heal, but yeah. And sometimes, I mean, we've talked about it in the off-road industry for a long time. If there was a better solution than riv nut, into places that you can't get to, there really just isn't anything else out there.
3M double-sided tape.
Yeah,
Trust me,
just
we thought
stick them
about
on
it.
there.
I mean, come on. We always thought about it. Hey, let's just put the rockers on with 3M industrial tape. It's not going to come off.
It says VHB right on it. Very high bond.
Yeah, that's right.
What could go wrong?
That's we're not talking about the owner of Rebel Off-Road.
Yeah, no.
Very high bond. He's
bond.
never high. What are you talking about? Yeah, it is a the whole idea, like quarter guards, double-sided tape, no problem, right?
Yeah, it's
easy. It holds the Jeep badge on, it'll hold everything else on.
Right? I mean, I have problems with Velcro things falling off. Like I can't even, and then there is the real 3M high bond, double sticky stuff. You put it on, you ain't taking it. You're going to break the part trying to get it off. And that's more of a, it's that permanent thing. Not much stuff that we do in the off-road industry is permanent. Like I have to service this someday again. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I remember the old days of thinking, hey, this is pretty cool because our exoskin for the JK, right? You can remove it, take it off because you got rib nuts. The whole thing's held on like 3,000 rib nuts, right? So you just remove it, you clean up the side because dirt and stuff gets in the way. You put it right back on, right? Yeah. Whoever has actually done that? Once it's on, it's on. You're not changing it. You're not changing it.
No. And then, later in life, if you do change it out, and then it looks like Swiss cheese in the side of your Jeep where you have those holes and new holes and other holes, and
Yes. Well, guys, hey, this other thing is this is episode 194, which means we're getting very close to our 200th episode. So if we start some counting, then we got counting down here. What are we looking at? We're looking at this is the 20. So this will go live on the 1st. And then we have the 8th. That would be 95, 6, 7, 8. and 9.
At
Yeah, so
12?
we're like beginning of January, I think, middle of January is going
Yeah,
to be
like
our
the
200th
12th
episode.
would be the 200th, right?
Yeah, 200th episode. So, which means, ladies and gentlemen, you guys got to coordinate your schedules. So you could be out here so we can do the 200th episode live from MetalCloak World Headquarters.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
That may
So
just work out, actually.
good. So I got our crack team upstairs prepared for it. We'll just have to give them a date, and then we'll do the 200th episode live. 200. Can you believe it? 200 episodes. See, if we were cool, this would be like we'd be in syndication now. Yeah.
Yeah, right. You know, and there's something going on, and you and I have talked a little bit about it, but I don't know. I think our followers are a pretty hardy group of people, and I think they are talking about our podcast if they enjoy it or not, or making fun of us or whatever. They're sharing it out. We're seeing higher numbers, but there's something internally going on with our numbering and how things get tracked, and I don't know what's going on yet. But I just want to say I appreciate all of our listeners and our followers that are talking about it, sharing it, telling their friends, post it on social media, give us a thumbs up, something. It all helps.
Absolutely, and shares and stuff, and I think there's some articles, and I sent a podcast over to you guys to listen to about some data, some tagging. Now Apple's starting to do some tagging, so it really is interesting when you're dependent upon platforms like Spotify and Apple, and they start, Apple especially then starts manipulating things a little bit more. The Spotify has a whole nother system that goes in, allows for video on there. I'm working on that. And then there's that other software that we talked about before that may be a switch platform. So you guys may see sometime in the near future where all of a sudden it changes. Like even on the video, if you're watching this on video and you see the layout that we've constructed here on the video, this may all change to be different, just because we're going to start using a different platform that works a little bit easier for all of us. And maybe that'll also change as well, some of the analytics and some of the data we're seeing.
Well, and Jessy and I were talking this morning, social media, it's weird right now. Things have become very sales driven, very paid promotional type stuff. I mean,
well, you got to tag that too.
Every other post on Facebook right now is an ad or a sales, somebody, it's all, and if you don't play that game, then, and there's a whole, here's my theory, and I'll just throw it out there. I could be way off base. There's a whole lot of podcasts now, right? And so all of these large companies that do put on, I mean, heavens, the Today Show, all of these newscasts, they're all doing podcasts now. So guess who's going to get priority? It's going to be these large, huge financially backed firms. When those things get pushed out, they're going to push in front of the smaller non-paid type of promotional stuff. So our little community of followers and friends that want to pay attention to us, the bad part about it is we don't get to see any new people into that mix, because the podcast isn't going to show up in their world because they're getting pushed out by the bigger ones.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Podcasting is becoming so mainstream, is becoming so big business. And more companies starting podcasts, more and more people doing it. So, and it's also finding the influencers and stuff to help, help make it work. I just watched one, and you probably seen Cheeks the Jeep, right? She has a lot of followers on Instagram and stuff. But I noticed some of her posts, like around the sale time, she was doing some posts for extreme terrain. But each one of those marked sponsored, right? Like you have to identify now when you're, especially when you're an influencer, when you're doing something that is a sponsored post as opposed to simply talking about a product. But that in itself is now becoming more and more monetized, right? So
and when you only want to spend, like, I got 30 minutes, I'm going to take a look at Facebook. When you have to go 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 posts before you see one of your friends, and then that's cool, and then ad or sales or net, like okay, and then it's the North Face, it's I don't know, it's Getty, it's Goal Zero, it's whoever, it's the TV, it's Samsung, it's look at this coat, look at this pair of pants, and then there's a friend, and my 30 minutes is up. Well, what I actually do is I spent 30 minutes on Facebook and I saw like 3 things from real people. That's kind of changing, and I think I don't know. There's got to be something that comes out of it, whereas we go, oh, that's fine. It's all a bunch of sponsored ads. I'm not going to spend 30 minutes on Facebook if I just see sponsored ads.
Right. Exactly. Well, it's funny is I turned off. I usually have my filter on that blocks the actual news feed. And I realized that I had gone into Chrome and turned off all extensions because I was having one of my extensions was interfering with another website I was on. So I turned off all the extensions just to try to figure out which one it was. And so I suddenly had my news feed on. And I didn't realize it until about 10 minutes in of me going and scrolling and looking at people's news feeds. So I went, whoa, my God, wait a second. I got sucked in so easily. And I didn't realize what I was doing. I'm like, look at this. Oh, this is cool. I'm like, oh, man. So I had to go in there and turn the extension on to block the news feed. It's like my wife says, I love television. Okay. I will sit there and I'll watch TV for hours and hours. I love TV. However, I would rather not have a television in my house because I will watch TV.
And you know that it's that.
Yeah, I know it's like I'm ready to admit the fact that I'll sit back and my kids' cartoons, right? I'll sit back and watch them with them, right? It's an excuse to watch cartoons. But
it's a way for our brains. Our brains need a little bit of a break, and that's our escape. We can stare at it. We may not even see what's. I get a cool new email that just came up, and I was going to tell you about it. The email is it's called Interesting Facts.
Ooh.
I don't even know how I got on this list. I just started getting these emails, and it's from Interesting Facts. You know what? I'll read that email. It's kind of interesting. Well, that's why it's called Interesting Facts. So I mean, yesterday I learned that the Cookie Monster's real name is Sid. I did not know that.
Did they prove it?
He said in a tweet way later, but Jim Henson created the Cookie Monster for an ad that never got used. It was for an ad in Canada in the 60s, late 60s. Cookie Monster made his first appearance on Sesame Street, which actually wasn't even going to be called Sesame Street. It was originally going to be called like 1, 2, 3 Alphabet B or something, like some interesting. Here, let me. I'll look at it real quick so I don't sound dumb. But
Jesse's over there going, huh?
Yeah, like what are we doing?
It was kind of. I love Julia and Evan, but Julia was like, I don't really need to be here.
Right.
Sesame Street was originally going to be called 1, 2, 3 Avenue B.
It rhymes.
Yeah, but it evolved and it became Sesame Street. But Sid, I never knew the Cookie Monster's name was Sid. Anyways, short story long.
Next time I see him, I'm going to say, "Hey, Sid," and see what he says.
In 2004, the Cookie Monster actually said, did you know me name is Sid, but I still like to be called the Cookie Monster." And he actually said that in 2004 segment on Sesame Street.
Oh, he did. Wow.
Yeah.
So that was pre-HBO.
Yeah. I don't know. 2004.
2004. Yeah. When did HBO buy?
Oh, I don't know.
Buy it all. I think it was only So that was pre-HBO purchase.
But for some reason, I'm drawn to those odd facts of
his name was Sid.
You didn't know.
What a name, Sid. We have Elmo and we have Sid.
Yeah.
Hey, Sid.
He's also the
Cookie
only
Monster's brother needs to show up and say and call him, "Yo, Sid." I'm not known as that here. Don't call me that here. I'm Cookie.
Nobody calls me. He's also the only monster on Sesame Street that has 5 fingers.
Oh, really?
All the others only have 4.
Well, and so he probably, because his hands are actually puppeted. So some of the other ones have their hands are moved around and stuff, but his hands.
Well, how do you eat cookies if you don't have thumbs?
There's right, and there's 2. I think Cookie Monster has two puppeteers, right? Does Cookie Monster have 2 puppeteers, or is it just one guy in the hand and?
Wait a minute, he's not
face.
Real.
I'm sorry, I just blew that one.
I don't know anything about it.
Sorry for all those kids watching. Yes, he's not here. He's got a hand up his butt. Yeah, it's sad. The worst thing about Cookie Monster though, it does two things. One, his English is terrible, so the kids go me this, me that, and two, he makes a friggin' mess. I mean, at least the Grouch, he's grouchy, but he made like trash, but he's actually pretty clean compared to Cookie Monster. Every kid wants to go and take a cookie and go rah, 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 and it goes all over the place. Like, thanks guys. Thanks a lot. Thanks. Well, on that note. No, it's no. And has there ever been? Here's a great question for you, for all of our Modern Jeepers. Has there ever been a Jeep on Sesame Street? We'll leave that question out there, and the first one to answer will get a Rubicon poster. Well, first, actually tell us some truth. Like, I just say no, yes, no, yes, no. So, if you could find a Jeep on Sesame Street, imagine there hadn't been over the years, just because every once in a while they show vehicles, even if it's in the background someplace, right?
Somewhere they had to have come across it somewhere
at some point. All right. Hey, Modern Jeepers, there's another great episode of the Modern Jeeper Show. Appreciate all of you. You know how to get a hold of us. Matson at MetalCloak.com, Corey at MetalCloak.com, Jessy at MetalCloak.com. ModernJeeperAdventures.com for all the great adventures. We're going live here very quickly with all of our registrations for 2023. So get down there, get them before they sell out. First thing's going to be Death Valley. And the dates for that are actually, the website's live with the correct dates currently. So, but registration will be open soon. And of course, ModernJeeper.com for the latest news and information, and ModernJeeperForum.com to have a no judgment zone about you and your Jeep. And which, of course, there's going to be a thread on ModernJeeperForum.com about this Funshine build, right? Wink, wink, wink.
Of course.
And articles.
Man, we've got a ton
of
content, that's for sure. Yeah. I mean, and that's the other thing, trying to take pictures and go on the fly and do the thing.
You should have just big GoPros, like 4 GoPros all the way around. They're just watching the whole thing.
You just need a camera crew to come out.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. Because there's probably some college students over in Denver that won't mind to come down or something. Right. All right, Modern Jeepers, thank you. Anything else you want to add before we go?
We're good, buddy.
All right, Modern Jeepers, we'll see you on the trails.
Cheers.
See ya.